Tyson Bagent is here. That's right. The Bears are winners this week at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. They win this one 30-12. A dominating game. Have not been able to say that in almost 2 years. Their first home win in 10 games. Last time the Bears dominated a team like this, they beat the New York Giants 29-3 at home. Man, I'd like to see this team play the way they play today for the rest of the year, because they looked really good today. Now, granted, the defense was playing against Brian Hoyer, but again, they only let up 12 points. The defense is getting better, and the offense performed today as opposed to what we saw last week. And this time, they let Tyson Bagent, or whoever was at quarterback, throw the football. Tyson Bagent went 21 of 29 with 162 yards through the air, and he notched his first career touchdown pass in this game, just like Justin Fields got his first career touchdown pass against the Raiders 2 years ago in Las Vegas. Bagent, he was pretty effective. He was definitely not someone who will, turn the lights out through the air. Not someone who's going to be doing that. He was doing a lot of just shorter passes. Longest completion of the day was only 17 yards, and that was to D'Onta Foreman, who I'll get to in just a second. But Bagent didn't make the big mistakes, and that's really how this team's going to win football games. Just minimize the mistakes, minimize the turnovers, the bad passes, stay in front of the sticks, which is what they were able to do a lot today. And really, when they weren't able to stay in front of the sticks and they were taking some penalties, the game was pretty much close to out of reach at that point. Moore led the team with receiving yards, but D'Onta Foreman, the biggest playmaker on the team today, had almost 90 yards on the ground, caught about another 30 yards through the air, and caught Tyson Bagent's first touchdown pass. Bagent, he throws that one. Foreman gets the other two touchdowns, offensive touchdowns on the day for Chicago, as he gets two rushing scores in the first half. This is what I expected from D'Onta Foreman last week, but the problem that I had last week is that they weren't throwing the ball and attacking the weak part of the Vikings defense, which was their secondary going into that game, and their rushing attack just was completely stopped. In this game, both D'Onta Foreman and Darrynton Evans were able to just run all over the Raiders defense, no problem. I was really impressed with what I saw on the ground. I was surprised they did as well as they did without Herbert and without Johnson for a second straight week. And not to mention Travis Homer was kind of just there. He's kind of playing more on special teams, but he is another running back that we can utilize in the future. But I think the big thing that I'm taking away from this game is that there was effectiveness on the offense. The scheming was right. They knew what they were doing, and they executed on the offensive side of the ball. They only let up, I think, one sack, and Max Crosby got a sack. But other than that, I don't think the Raiders really had much pressure on Bagent. And Bagent did a good job to escape the pocket in these situations. It reminded me a little bit of Justin Fields. Maybe there's some teaching and some learning there, because there were a couple moments where it felt like he was kind of looking a little like Justin Fields in the pocket, where you just start taking it off and just go run up the middle and the pocket collapses. Kind of taken after the starter for the team. But Bagent looked really effective today, as he not only threw in the air for a very effective day, but he also was effective on the ground when he needed to be. He's definitely not as explosive as Justin Fields is on the ground, which few quarterbacks are. Few quarterbacks will be explosive as Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, because not everyone has that explosiveness. But more quarterbacks than ever, I feel like, are being more mobile, at least, being able to move outside the pocket and run if they have to. We're not getting more Roethlisbergers and Breeze and Brady, where they really can't run that much, and they're doing a lot of their throwing from the pocket. And when they're running, they don't have like that explosive nature, so they're not getting as much as they could on these rushes. And so they're also not as great as escaping pressure. So I think that's what's really important for a Bears quarterback right now as we recover in the trenches and especially on the offensive line? Basically, just Bagent looked really good. He looked mobile, and he threw it away when he had to. Probably got out of 1 or 2 sacks that they probably should have had. There was another 1 or 2 where he was able to throw it out and didn't take an intentional grounding penalty. So I really liked what I saw from the D2 star from Shepherd University. I mean, I'm not like super surprised. Bagent looked really good in the preseason. I mean, he beat out PJ Walker for the backup position, who he just beat the Niners last week, and then came in replacement for Deshaun Watson this week in Indianapolis and won that game. So Bagent beats him out for the backup gig, and I'm not like too surprised. He looked really good today. And why should we expect really much less from a guy who only has, the passing touchdown record in a career in all of NCAA, Division 1, 2, and 3. He had almost 160 career passing touchdowns at Shepherd. Unbelievable. There's a reason why he was scouted and why the Bears were able to pick him up and give him a shot to try and work his way into even a backup role. Because sometimes you just got to give people a shot. So yeah, offense, I was really happy with what I saw from the offense today. But the defense, they did what they were supposed to and halted a Raiders offense without Jimmy G and having to start Brian Hoyer. And us Bears fans know what happens when we start Brian Hoyer. You don't win football games because Brian Hoyer is a journeyman and he's not good. He's just not good. And I don't know. I mean, Brian Hoyer's probably not complaining. I know he has at least 1 ring when he was with the Patriots. I know he at least has 1 ring, but he doesn't care what average Joes like us think about his performance. He doesn't care. He's made all the money that he needs to, and he's got a ring. So I don't think Brian Hoyer's super mad about this loss, but as a quarterback, even if you've been in the league for a while, you still want to try and win as many games as you can. But Hoyer had an interception, a little tip, and picked off by Tremaine Edmonds. Gets his 2nd straight week with an interception. Not technically his 2nd week with an interception because the pick that he had against the Vikings was ruled a fumble. So it doesn't really go down as an interception for Edmonds. But he does get an actual interception in this game, and that led to the 2nd Bears touchdown and the 2nd rushing touchdown from Foreman. So that was a big one early in the game. And then after the Bears go up 24-6 to go back up 3 scores with about 5-ish minutes, I want to say, remaining. 7 minutes, somewhere around that range. Hoyer throws, and it's intercepted by Jalen Johnson, and he takes it to the house. First pick 6 by the Bears since Roquan Smith intercepted Joe Burrow over 2 years ago. Broke the longest active streak in the league, and Jalen Johnson gets just his 2nd pick of his career right there. Also, can I say Jalen Johnson I really liked the way that he had, the Bears were wearing the blue jersey, but he had orange Under Armour on. I gotta say, I loved it. It looked super cool. It contrasted with the jersey so well, complemented it, easily stuck out on the defensive end. And perfect time to put it out because you didn't only get the pick 6 to seal the game when Aiden O'Connell came in after Hoyer threw that pick 6. On his first drive of the game, chucks one deep, and it's picked off by Jalen Johnson again. So he gets career interception number 3, 2nd of the game. And the Bears' secondary looked pretty good. I think Johnson, having him back's huge. Brisker almost had a pick. I was pleased with them. And Stevenson had a decent day. He had a couple plays where I'm like, but I feel like he's getting better. And that's just what we kind of had to go with Gordon and Brisker last season, both as rookies. You're going to have rough outings, especially being a part of the secondary, because anything you do will get penalized. And I know, and Stevenson got pass interference that may have not been a pass interference to some people, but tell you what it was because he wasn't looking at the ball and he was just keeping his eyes later on the receiver, and he kind of pushed him a little too much, and well, it's a pass interference call that he's not going to get that call. But he's improved. He covered Devontae Adams a little bit. Didn't do horrible. Devontae Adams, speaking of which, I last week I said that he was in store for a big day. That was before Jimmy G got hurt. That was before we knew that Brian Hoyer was starting a quarterback. So Devontae Adams was neutralized, and Hoyer had him in the end zone in the fourth quarter, and he dropped it. Granted, that pass was probably a little too far, but Adams was wide open in the end zone. And that would have been, pretty typical for Devontae Adams with how many touchdowns he scored against Chicago. But doesn't get one here. And the secondary is looking, it's getting better. They're getting better. They're kind of getting some reps. And I think that's kind of really nice now that these backups and these other guys who aren't like the top 2 or 3 players in the secondary are getting reps. They're getting opportunities, and now they're starting to improve. Now things are going to change. Things are going to change drastically, which is why I'm a little upset that they didn't get that win against Minnesota, because they could be sitting at 3-4 right now, going into next week's game on Sunday Night Football against the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert taking on the Bears. They've struggled offensively, but Justin Herbert can throw the ball, and he really can. The Bears offense will have to take advantage of the Chargers defense in that game if they want to have a shot at winning that game, because Justin Herbert has a ton of weapons. That offense really can tear apart this defense if they're not careful. So it's a very important game. They've had some easier defenses the last 4 weeks, the last month pretty much. Bears have had the Denver defense, they had the Washington defense, the Minnesota defense, and the Las Vegas defense. Not below average defenses. Chargers, on the other hand, they're around more average. They've struggled a lot though. They've been taking some pretty bad penalties. Like Chargers, that's kind of more like just a franchise thing. The Chargers continue to try and blow games, but it's not. I feel like they're going to be pressured a little more, especially on the D-line side, in the trenches with the front 7 for the Chargers. Of course, headed by Khalil Mack, former Bear. That's going to be a revenge game for him. I mean, he terrorized the Las Vegas offensive line. So, really, I'm interested to see how that goes. But if Fields comes back, or if we rock with Bagent, I feel pretty good with both their talents through the air, because that's probably where we're going to have to win the game next week. That's probably where we're going to have to win it again. They're not going to be able to run it down their throats, especially if Herbert and Johnson are not healthy and good to go for next week's game in Southern California. So it's going to be interesting. It's their last game against the AFC West. They've already played the Chiefs, got crushed. They already played Denver, and now they've played Las Vegas. Final game in the AFC West. Their only AFC team left is all the way into, I think, December in Week 15 against the Cleveland Browns, the site of Justin Fields' first career start, which we all remember how much of a disaster that was. So that'll be interesting. Maybe P.J. Walker's playing, depending on how things go with Watson right now. So, well, that would be fun. But yeah, today was a great day. The Bears looked like a competent football team. It's crazy what happens when you play a game where you're comfortably in front and you know that you're going to win the game. It's crazy what that does for you. And frankly, I was more confident with this game, mainly because Brian Hoyer was our quarterback, and our defense had been playing well. But definitely the voice in the back of my head saying, "Oh, they can blow it," that was there against Washington pretty much almost the entire second half. Yeah, that was not there today. Not there at all. So, Chargers on Sunday Night Football next week. Interesting game that they have selected, but I was looking through the schedule and thinking that they would flex it, what they put in. I couldn't pick one I couldn't find one. Maybe they put the Rams and the Cowboys in there if they decide to flex it. I don't know if it's too late yet, but they could be on Sunday Night Football next week, which would be pretty interesting, I'll tell you what. So, I'm interested to see what they can do, and I'm hoping that this team can get healthy, because some of the injuries can kind of slow down. I didn't think we had any major injuries today, but I'd like to see Justin Fields be able to get back. I did hear good things that they kind of took him out. So I'd assume that he'd probably be good to go for Sunday night. I'm not sure about Herbert, not sure about Johnson, but those are two pieces that would be huge in that game. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and I don't know. I'm here for it. Bears are now 2-5. They've won 2 of their last 3. Hey, good for them. So yeah, Bears looking for back-to-back wins for the first time since week 16 and 17 in 2021, with Nick Foles winning in Seattle and the Bears dominating the next week against the Giants. They're looking for their first back-to-back wins since then. I don't know. This is going to be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to this game, actually. I don't know. I feel like there's something there. I feel like there's something here, and they're playing up to potential over this week. If they can play like this team would be very much improved and would be in a pretty good position for next year. That is, if they keep playing up to expectations, because there's only so much that you can do. But yeah, Bagent gets his career win number 1 in his first start as a quarterback in the National Football League. Who would have thought that in Week 7 against the Raiders, we'd be starting a quarterback who started at a Division II college, and he'd lead us to a dominating win? Who would have thought? But anyways, that's going to do it for this one. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more from me. And I will see you guys next week. Take care, everyone.